Hi, pro tip, don't spam your resume. Now, I've done quite a few videos on resume job tips and all sorts of stuff like that. And as it turns out, somebody saw one of my YouTube videos, not on the job interview tips, but that I might have been hiring a hobbyist. Yeah, this was like 5 or 6 years ago or something like that. So they thought that they would send me my resume. Cool. Someone, a youngster being, interested in engineering, being proactive, sending out your resume. Absolutely fantastic. What's not good is spamming people and not personalizing it. So there was just actually so much wrong with this email and the resume and other things and the cover letter, which I can go into. So I replied with an email saying, hey, pro tip, don't spam your resume. And, well, they weren't too happy with that. They took offense and they replied, hey, everyone's going through hardships at the moment, fair enough. He saw my YouTube video about how I might be hiring electronics hobbyists. Didn't think of looking at the date, but that's okay. Fine. I still get emails to this day from people who've seen that video who send in their resumes. And that's just fantastic. I'll give them help and advice and all that sort of stuff. But he said, clearly, from the subject of this email, I was trying to find out if you're hiring. So no offense to your tips aren't of any use to me, as if I was looking for hiring or job tips, I would have made that the subject of my email. I would not just send you my CV and support documents for no reason. Here's a tip for you. Look before you leap and don't always assume it's spam. Sorry, mate. It's spam. When you send an email to someone with your resume and you don't include any text in the email at all, it just has job opportunities at the top of it, no text whatsoever, then, well, that's spam. And when you don't address the fact that you're in an entirely different country on the other side of the planet, well, that's spam. And when you include a cover letter that's not personalized in any way and contains this sort of rubbish, and I quote, "This apprenticeship literally means the world to me. As your company is a highly advanced and impressive company, I've also done extensive research on your company only to find that it has a very impactful past and it's a leading company in the industry, which makes sure it stays on top of its game and helps its employees become the very best they can through resources and training." When you include that in a cover letter, like that, it's clearly generic waffle, then it's spam. And I'll include a bit more advice on resumes here. I won't show the resume. I'm not going to name the kid because, it's good. Being proactive like this is fine. But this is just a generic example for other people. The profile starts off, it puts profile at top, usually it's summary, but that's fine. And it talks about what they're studying at the moment, EE, they want to become a certain type of engineer in the field, discovering and creating new technologies, all great, wonderful stuff. And then their work experience is just, the generic jobs they've had, working at, retail and things like that. And really, you should aim to not have these in your resume at all. And another pro tip, he actually included a reference. Normally you don't include references when you're sending out your resume. It's only if people ask for it, then do you provide references. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Provided a reference from a company he supposedly works at that's not even in his resume. So yeah, there's that. That's not a good look. And also in the interest side of things, nobody really cares about your non-technical interests, so try and leave those out. Anyway, I've done probably a couple of resume tip videos and stuff like that, so I won't go over that. So there was basically a lot wrong with this approach. There was everything wrong with this approach. You didn't personalize anything. Just send in your resume with nothing covering. Even if you've got a cover letter attached, include a personal thing. Hi, Dave. Something like that. Don't do the dear sir, madam rubbish, okay? Find out who you're sending your resume to and personalize it to that person. To this day, if you, I get tons of companies sending me all sorts of, promo and ad, where we do sponsorships and all this sort of stuff. And if somebody just says hi or hi EV log or something like that, they just get spam canned, right? They don't even get a reply. But if somebody replies to me and says, hi, Dave, seen your videos, would you be interested in this? I always give a personal reply because you feel a personal connection there with someone. At least they've gone to the effort to show that they know who they're talking to. So the next tip is never ever include a generic cover letter. Always personalize it to the person and the company that you're doing. I mean, to have this waffle in here about, oh, they've researched my company, it's a highly advanced company, it's a leading company in the industry, and don't tell companies what they should be doing. Tell them about yourself and what value you can add for the company. Trying to just grease them up with some wank talk, it's not going to get you anywhere. In fact, it's going to get you shit canned straight into the trash bin. And the other thing in your resume is don't say it, show it, by including some photos of projects you've worked on, links to projects. I've talked about this before. Set up your own blog site or website or whatever where you can show off like stuff you've done. Even if it's very simple, it shows that you have the passion and everything else. And don't just like waffle in paragraphs how I want to be an engineer and no. Why not include a picture of your workbench? Winning first impression. I know there's probably people out there saying, Dave, don't give this kid a hard time. It's really hard work sending out your resume to hundreds of companies and things like this trying to find a job. And yeah, welcome to the real world. It's hard work. If you want to get a good job, you have to put the work in. Now, I'm sure I've mentioned this in previous videos. This includes spending the time researching who you're sending your resume to. And I've mentioned this in previous videos. Bypass the human resources department if you can. Go to companies, like if you want to work at a specific company, you like their stuff and you think, hey, I'd love to work there. Then research the company, find out they've maybe done some press releases from the engineering manager or something like that. They might have done some blog posts. They might have published some articles in some trade journal or something like that. Try and find a direct name and a direct contact email. If you've just got a name for engineering manager at a company, somebody interviewed them or something, then hey, search LinkedIn, do whatever, use your Google foo, find the contact details for that, typically an engineering manager, but even an engineer, if you send it to one of the engineers at the company, if you find their details, they've published work online or something like that, then so you can send your resume to them and say, hey, look, I've seen your stuff. I really, like your company. I'd love to, have a chance to show my resume. Here it is. Here's my lab, and I'm really interested. I'd really appreciate if you, pass it on to someone, engineering manager or somebody in charge of potentially hiring stuff I can do. I've got these sorts of skills, and that is how you get in the door. And yes, if you do that hundreds of times, it's a crap ton of work. Once again, welcome to the real world, okay? There's no easy way. You can't just rely on luck. You can't just spam out your resume like this with a ridiculous template cover letter, even if it's just a wanky little email intro or something like that. No, it's when people open these emails, it's clear that this person hasn't taken the effort to do any research on the company or done any research to find you, done any effort whatsoever. So if they're not going to put effort into that, why would they put effort into their work if you hire them? So on top of all that work, you can level yourself up. I've done this before myself, and I've mentioned it before. Drive around your local business parks. I'm in a commercial office building like this. There's like 50 different companies just in this like 1 or 2 buildings here, and there's a whole business park, and sometimes you get like a technology business park. Drive around, walk around, go into each building. Usually they have big signs in the foyer and things like that, and you write down any, or take a photo or whatever, and then go back and research it later and find any technical sounding names, Innovative Technologies Proprietary Limited or something like that. That company might exist. I don't know. Just look up the company name and then go do research on them, and then go through companies local like this. But it means actually getting out there, feet on the ground, doing the actual literal legwork, going out there, finding companies. You can do this online now, but I highly recommend just go to a business park, have a look around, and it's amazing what companies you'll find, and you probably won't find them by Google searching. Just turn up to these business parks and look at these companies and then research them, and then research and find somebody, a point of contact, preferably, highly preferably, an engineering point of contact at that company, and then contact them, and then personalize your cover letter, even your resume. Your resume should be tailored for each individual role that you do. It's very rare that you can have a generic resume good enough that's going to suit all different companies, because if you like, say you've worked on power supply stuff before, but it's only a little bit or something like that, and a company's looking for somebody with power supply skills, and normally it's not even in your resume, or it's just buried right down the bottom. Well, you shift it up towards the top so that it actually has focus tailored towards that particular company. And as I've said before, if you're like this kid and he's only like studied a year of engineering, doesn't really have any engineering jobs or something like that, doesn't really have anything to show off, get something to show off. Build something, get involved in a project online, set up your own website where you can show it off, or at least include photos of like a board you've made. It's so cheap to build prototypes up and build stuff these days. It's ridiculously cheap. Just once again, you have to put the hard work and the effort in. You can't just whack a couple of paragraphs in your resume or your cover letter saying, oh, I'm really interested in engineering. It's like I read all these books and I do other things. It's like, no, show it. What have you built? And it doesn't have to be anything like seriously good or impressive. It can be, just like the simplest little robot or the simplest little power supply or something. You've just got to show that you're passionate and you're willing to put in the work to actually build stuff like this. So to the kid who emailed me, I hope you can actually learn something from this, and don't just dismiss the fact that this is what it appeared like to me. It's clearly spam, and I've explained the reasons why it is spam. So even if I was looking for someone for a job for this and you are perfect in every way, I probably wouldn't consider you just purely based on the approach that you've taken here. So I hope you can take this advice on board and learn from it. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter what you think, it matters what the person hiring you thinks. And when you send them this sort of stuff, you'll never get this feedback from anyone else. I almost guarantee it. Like, I would have killed for feedback like this when I was a kid. So you can either take it on board and hopefully present better, or not. Your choice. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Please leave your comments down below, not only to help out this kid, but to help out every other youngsters out there who are looking for jobs, or even if you're an old person, you're trying to get into the industry. This sort of stuff matters. And I'll send a link to this video to this kid, and please, listen to people when they give you tips and things like this. Don't send an email reply back saying, hey, if I wanted your tips, I would have asked for them. It's like, no, dude, there was so much, sorry to tell you, but the reality is there was so much wrong with the way that you actually emailed me and presented your resume, your cover letter, or the lack of the email and lack of personalization, and the fact that you're in another country. It's just like, what did you expect? What, you didn't know I had an Australian accent and I might not be from where you're from? I don't know. No, you've got to put a bit more work into this. So I wish the kid the best of luck, and I hope you found this video useful. As always, leave your comments and opinions down below. Catch you next time.